You're listening to FitPro Sessions with Parallel Coaching, episode number 47. Hi, I'm Neil Bergman. In today's podcast, Hayley and I are talking about, is learning supposed to feel hard? So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a fit pro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a fit pro? This is the FitPro Sessions podcast with Parallel Coaching.
I've lost count of the amount of conversations we've had with each other, but also with you guys on the other end of the phone, in the classroom, on social media, on email, asking the question, the conversation of, why does learning feel so hard?
Why is it so hard?
Why is it so hard? So what do you make of that one, Hayley?
Well, generally, like, people think that learning's hard or that they're broken or that essentially they sit down to learn and it's just difficult and they don't understand why it's so hard.
It just doesn't seem to go in. It goes in one ear, it jumbles around the brain for a little bit and then drops out the other ear. And then the moment you open up the books or your online learning, whatever it might be, you jump onto YouTube or Google, a new bit of information goes in and the old bit goes out. It's like a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
It's like a conveyor belt.
A factory line
of information in, knocks the next bit of info out. And it just feels like a battle. And I've been there. Yeah. I know you have. When you first started, well, we learned at a very similar kind of time for gym and PT back in the early mid-2000s. But what was it like for you?
Oh, for me, like, I really struggled with, I still do. I'm not really a big reader. I don't really like sort of just reading information. So I would literally reread the paragraph. I go, oh no, read it again. I'll read it again. I'll read it again. And I still didn't understand what I'd read. And instead I'd just be trying to remember it like rote, like word by word. And then I'd wonder why I didn't understand what I'd just read. And
I just remember you feeling this kind of like angst of like, I'm never going to be ready. I just feel uncomfortable. It's not going in. And oddly, I remember, and you still do, you like learning when you've got noise on in the background. And I'm the complete opposite of having no noise, no music on in the background. So I remember when I was learning PT and preparing for my A&P exam many moons ago, okay, we were actually in Plymouth at the time, oddly. I remember that I would go down to one of the beaches, not far from where we live now, in fact, and I'd sit in the back of a car. I'd put the car seats like right down. I'd have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and it would be completely silent. And I loved it. And that's one of my big
You created
tips,
your little space,
what I'm going to go on to very shortly about how to learn and revise and remember information and for it not to be hard. And I can still remember some of the pages, what they look like, and I can also remember the information that I learned first time round.
Yeah.
All about calcium and the use of calcium, for example.
Yeah.
Inside the muscle for the use of ATP. And energy systems, because I remember, let's just jump straight into it. I remember making an environment so comfortable that I learn.
Nice. Well, I remember being so jealous of the fact that you learn. And I was like, how do you learn it so quickly? Like you were some sort of superhuman. And I just kept comparing like the fact that I found it hard to the fact that you found it easy. But actually it wasn't that you found it easy. It
wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy at all. So the first thing I want to give you today, and hopefully you've already had a number of little knowledge bombs, is about immersing yourself inside the topic. And that's what I used to love doing. 2 or 3 times a week I would immerse myself in one particular topic.
I mean, that's really key.
But also knew that was gonna benefit me. And if I look back before we were learning PT, we were at uni. And if I look back even, right back to my school days, I never immersed myself. And I was always I was always a naughty kid in school. I was always troubled with learning, and I never instinctively learned because I now knew, and I knew then, that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But I knew if I immersed myself for an hour, 2 hours, not a binge, but just one topic, and just kept going in over it and not getting annoyed with myself, not getting frustrated with myself, and created this environment where I could just immerse myself in energy systems and calcium, then over time it would go in my brain, it would sink in.
And the nice thing about that is it's not about scratching the surface of a subject lots of times in lots of different ways, but it's about going deep to learn everything you can about that one thing for a set time, but then allowing yourself to move on and immerse yourself in another thing, and move on and immerse yourself in another thing. You don't have to perfect it, you just got to move on through them, but give yourself enough time, enough space, enough opportunity to get it right. I was actually talking to a learner on the phone, and she was saying, I need to take my own advice. I said, oh, what do you mean? She's like, well,
this.
I've got a daughter that's just sort of GCSE age, and she's been revising and studying, and I've told her time and time again, she's just got to put the time in, and she's just got to do herself some favours in terms of how she sets up her study environment. So not have her phone on, not be distracted, not play loads of music, or whatever it was.
Maybe we were a bit, I'm sorry to jump in, but maybe I was at an advantage because I didn't even, the iPhone wasn't even invented. There wasn't an iPhone that I couldn't be distracted by that. And maybe that was a bit of a plus.
All you could have was texts from me.
Exactly, an old school.
Where you put the numbers in.
I remember I would sit there, actually, I had like it wasn't a 3310 Nokia, but I used to be able to play Snakes on my phone at the very least. It was like an 8810 or whatever, I don't know what it was.
Well, regardless, this lady was saying that she needs to take her own advice that she would give her daughter about how to set up a good study environment and not be distracted, so she could immerse herself in her studies. So the thing is, we know what to do. If we were giving the advice to someone else, you'd know what to do. And
we just don't do what we know. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because the majority of you guys, the listeners and our learners, are female. The average age of our learner actually is 42, 43. And a majority of you have kids. So what advice, male or female, what advice would you give your kids, your youngsters, if you knew that they were being challenged with their learning? And that's the advice we got to take ourselves. But this immersion into a topic, and I think that's also kind of conjures up this understanding of what is a realistic expectation of how much can we learn in one particular session and not beating ourselves up. How much can we learn inside? It's not instant inside a week. Okay, and then thinking, right, well, when realistically am I going to book my exam? And I think, you see so often on social media, and I think we live in this, you've mentioned it before in previous FitPro sessions about instant gratification. We can get Amazon Prime the next day, the same day. You can get a Domino's delivered, and it'll be here in like half an hour. Do you know what I mean? Not that we do that. Pizza. No, we don't. But I think, you see so many things online, certainly for new Fit Pros, of, get your first 10 clients in the first week, different challenges, or the first be the first to get to 6 figures in your fitness business. It's quick gratification. And I think actually that leads you into a bit of a false sense of security, of unrealistic expectations. And just saying, right, if I immerse myself and I understand this and I feel comfortable, confident, competent, the 3 C's, just made that one up, then realistically, when am I going to sit my exam?
Then it doesn't have to.
But it doesn't
like
have
a grind.
It doesn't have to be a grind, and I think that's when you can start to enjoy it. Because you can go, right, I'm just going to learn this one particular topic, and inside your level 2 A&P and level 3 A&P, there's 8 modules. So at very least, that's 8 weeks, potentially even 16 weeks.
Having that structure can just set you free from so much overwhelm and confusion. So know that plan at the beginning of what it is you want to achieve that week, what it is you want to achieve over 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, because then you can say, oh, well, actually, I am only just learning the heart today.
Completely. and when you learn the heart, you're gonna pick up on another topic, guaranteed at some point, that relates to, the heart's going to send you on this rabbit run. That's what I was trying to say. So you're gonna learn something about, for example, the valves of the heart, and then something will be mentioned at that point about another part of the anatomy and physiology, and you're like, oh, I need to go and learn this now, I need to go and learn that now, and it's just immersing yourself, saying, no, today's topic is just for heart.
Just this.
It's just this. And once I've done my allotted time, or I've learnt this, or I've read it once or twice, or I've watched it once, I'm done.
Yeah.
Not going, I've got to learn it, and if I don't learn it now, I never will. If I don't learn it now, I never will. Because you can...
immersion is key.
Immersion is key. And also when you do that, just reading off my notes here, I made a quote earlier, is when it makes sense, it actually becomes easy.
Nice.
Okay, so if you are feeling like revision is hard, it's a bit of a slog, it's a bit, oh God, dear, it's tough, I can't seem to be remembering this, and it's not fun anymore, slow everything down. Immersion, immerse yourself in it, make sense of it, and suddenly you'll see the light of it being made fun.
Perfect.
So the next point down I want to think back to is like, well, what other tips would I give somebody else now? What do we give?
If you find it hard.
If you find it hard, but also what did we do? And I really spent time this morning planning this and thinking, what was it? And like the second big thing I did, and that was double down on my strengths. So one of my strengths was recognizing that immersion was key for me.
Nice.
And so now I'm going to double down on doing as much immersion as possible.
Yeah.
So maybe your strength is I learn best first thing in the morning. In which case you want to do your best, double down on that strength and go, right, I'm gonna get up 15-20 minutes earlier and learn every morning.
So don't feel like you have to do it some other way that isn't necessarily good for you.
Yeah.
So for example, I learn much better via audio than I do necessarily from reading.
In which case, don't try and read. Not to say don't read, but don't
rely on it.
Don't rely on reading. So
Double down on
what
the
strengths
audio.
do you have and can you recognize in your learning, and where and can you double down on those strengths?
Nice. I like that.
And
so
I think
expand the opportunity to do what works for you.
Yeah, so you might be a savage note taker. Hayley is a savage note taker.
I didn't realise I'm quite that bad, but when I learned it, I like go from like, oh, it's not in that notepad.
Yeah.
It's not in that notepad.
It's like honestly,
Highlighted,
guys and girls, you would
Post-it
not
notes.
believe it. You wouldn't believe it. But regardless, if that's Hayley's strength and she gets the work done and does it well through taking notes, then guess what? Double down on your strengths and take more notes.
Nice.
Yeah. If you learn best through watching or being taught, then you need to be watching and being taught. Maybe you're learning something hopefully you're learning something from FitPro Sessions and you've gone back through and binge listened and immersed yourself in FitPro Sessions. If that's the case, you need to do more of that.
Yeah.
So there's no point, if you are finding it hard, that's probably an alarm bell of saying you're not learning towards your strengthts.
An analogy that Neil uses all the time is about a padlock. So like a padlock has a set code on it. You only got to put the 4 numbers in to unlock the padlock. All you're doing at the moment is if you're finding it hard, you're just putting the wrong numbers in your padlock. So you need to find the right code for you, and that is
wicked. Whether
that is first thing in the morning, whether it's writing notes, whether it's listening to audio, that's your padlock code.
That's your padlock. So
your syntax.
Your syntax. So your padlock code might be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that might be learning in the morning via audio with immersion, with no distractions. And if you don't do it in not necessarily that order, but the 1, 2, 3, 4 aren't necessarily lined up, then you're going to find it even harder. So if you're trying to revise in the afternoon via reading with loads of distractions whilst around the kids, you'll be like, oh, why doesn't it go in? And you kind of beat yourself up because you're still going through the process of revising, but you're not playing to your strengths.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the code for you?
Awesome.
Okay, and then the final thing, there's hundreds of things that we talk about.
Lots of things you can do.
Lots of things you can do, but I really hope that FitPro Sessions is making a difference. And I love the alternate weeks, because every other week we do something about fitness and kind of kick-starting, and then every other week or in between those weeks we talk about revision.
Yeah.
And the revision ones get such great feedback.
They
so
do,
I really hope that we are piercing through some of the noise of revision and helping. So the next one I thought long and hard over again, and it is to find excuses to teach yourself.
Ooh.
And again, I was thinking really hard this morning, and I thought,
I like that.
Because I'm really missing the classroom. I'm really missing the classroom. We're not going to go back into a classroom in our Milton Keynes Academy until mid-September this year, obviously the coronavirus and whatnot, so we want to make sure it's super safe. But we got a gym course, we got a PT course, there's a level 1 kettlebells, there's level 2
Kids.
suspension, there's a kids course, there's a circuits course, so there's loads to going. And I was thinking about getting back in the classroom, and something popped into my head, and I thought, do you know what, the person that learns the most in the classroom is me. Yeah, I'll say it again. Listen closely. The person that learns most in the classroom, unfortunately, is me. Okay? Or maybe not. Maybe you've not been in the classroom with us. We don't know.
I've heard this a lot, actually, when people have turned around to us and said, when will I learn it as well as you know it?
Yes.
When will I know it as well as you know it? And I'm like, I've been teaching this for years.
Yes,
And every time you teach, you learn it.
You learn it. And so you learn what you hear yourself say. So if I'm going to, for example, now talk to you about the flow of blood around the heart and around the left ventricle and into the aorta and now into the arteries, arterioles, the capillaries, and talk about that, and then venous return and the flow of blood back to the heart. I've just said it in maybe a slightly different way to the last time I said it yesterday to a learner.
Yes.
And now I've learnt it because I've learnt it in the way that I've just said it.
And you've learned it in a way that you're able to repeat it.
I learn and repeat it. And so you learn what you hear yourself say. So the tip here is find excuses to teach. So you might have, I don't know, a 6-month-old little girl. And you might be at home thinking, right, this is how, when do I find time to revise? Talk to your youngster, your 6-month-old little one. Yeah, she's not going to get it. We get that. But guess what?
Teacher.
You're going to, through your teaching and verbally, actually talking out loud, going to learn what you hear yourself say.
You could teach friends and family over video message. You could teach,
Yep.
You could create a video just of you in your house, just talking straight to your video, teaching it
Yep.
for 2 minutes. Don't even need to send it to anyone.
Yep.
That's fine.
But you might not-
could even do it to the cat.
You could
it
even
doesn't
do,
really matter.
I remember again. This is what made me think of it, because I remember sitting in the car whilst immersing myself and whatnot, and imagining clients and going through, like, rehearsing. What I would say, how I would say it, and giving myself loads of hypothetical case studies.
Yeah.
And through talking and thinking about it and then verbalizing it, I learnt it very, very quickly. So, a lot of people say, why can't I get it just like you? How come you seem to be able to reel it off of the tongue? And that's because we teach it day in, day out.
Said it a lot.
And it made me think. I was like, why can't you teach it? So you need to find excuses to teach.
I like that.
Okay.
It's a really good tip.
You could, as simple as or as silly as it sounds, you could literally be in the shower or the bath and for 20 seconds just talk about anything to do with the heart. For 60 seconds, you could put a timer on your phone and think, right, what do I know about the muscles? You might not get everything out, and it might be in an erratic, random order, but guess what? The more you do it, the more you practice, the more you teach yourself and find excuses and times to teach yourself, you're going to learn it, I believe, 10 times quicker.
Yeah, I think
So-
I really like that. So the 3 things were
Immersion.
immerse yourself.
Immerse yourself. Double down on your strengths and find excuses to teach yourself. And now you're going to find this syntax that we talked about, this padlock, to learn best to you.
And the padlock will open.
And the padlock will open, and
And
all of a
learning
sudden,
still might be a challenge. It might feel tough, but it's not simple. It's not like easy, but
No,
it's
so
easier.
I wanted to end on one on
opens
one.
it, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
completely. I wanted to end on a quote or what I thought of earlier is that anyone can learn, anyone can get better at anything. Literally, if I wanted to get better at face to camera, or I wanted to get better at podcasting, or I want to get better at anatomy and physiology, I want to get better at coaching somebody to a result in the gym, I want to get better as a better driver, I want to get a better swimmer. Anybody can do anything, providing they do 2 things.
What's that?
Number 1, they want to get better.
Oh,
You've got to want to get better at it. Okay? And the next one is you've got to be willing to be uncomfortable.
yeah.
So it's not that learning is meant to be hard. Learning will be hard because you don't know what you don't know.
I'm going to add in on that same
Go
thing.
for
If
it.
you think about a little baby learning to walk, it's not easy
No.
for them. They fall over a lot. And I know that this is a very well used analogy, but learning is exactly the same in anything you do. Learning to walk is just easy because we can see it. So if you think about a little baby learning to walk, they fall on their bum loads, they fall over,
Yeah.
fall on their face.
So what you're saying there is,
It's
when you're
challenging.
learning anatomy and physiology, you're learning nutrition, you're learning training systems, whatever it is you're learning in your fitness course at the moment, you're going to fall on your face at some point.
Because if it was easy, you'd already know it.
If it was easy, you'd already know it. But I also want to have you consider that if it was easy, you probably still wouldn't do it.
Ooh.
Or you would be less engaged or less infused to do it as well.
Yeah.
Because it would be like, well, this is too easy. And when something's too easy, we get bored really quick.
Yes.
So you've got to be willing to embrace the challenge and recognize that, yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's hard, and that's okay. And because I want to get better at it, and because I'm willing to do more of it, I'm going to immerse myself into this challenge. I'm going to double down on my strengths, and I'm going to start teaching people. Boom. And it will go in one ear, it will stay in the middle, it will stay in the brain, and this ear will go, no, you're not coming out, you're staying in, you're staying in, you're staying in. You're like that.
I like that.
So what I want to know is, what have you learned from today's FitPro session? What was it, episode 47?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one. I feel like we planned them all, but I feel like this one, deep down, genuinely has got. If you take action, I know it will help.
Yeah.
100%, I know it will help. So it's not just our ramblings. I think there's 3 or 4 major points in there that if you took action on, you would see a formidable result.
Yeah,
I like
so
that
if
word.
you're
Formidable.
So if you're finding your studies hard right now,
You're
then apply
confused.
those 3 things that we've
Yeah.
spoken about. And it might still feel uncomfortable. It's not a magic wand.
Yeah.
It might still feel uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, it'll be worth it, and you'll feel like you're making progress.
Wicked.
And then as a result of making progress, you get closer to your outcome, which is passing your exam, feeling confident in your knowledge, and being an awesome fit
I think, and the more you want to get better at it, and the more you're willing to immerse yourself in, and the more you're willing to recognize what strengths you have and where your learning strengths are, when you move on to another course or something else, and you're faced with another challenge you'll have to learn, you can go, well, I didn't just learn A&P at my level 2 fitness course, or my level 3 PT course, or my level 3 yoga course. I actually learned how to learn, which means going forwards, I'm left with this toolbox of learning skills that means I'm never going to have to kind of be worried or anxious about learning ever again.
You know it works for you.
You know what works for you. So with that said, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I've loved it.
Yeah.
We will see you next week, next Thursday, for episode number 48. And if you do have any questions between now and then, please do reach out to us on email, info@parallel-coaching.com. Leave a iTunes 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, this is like, it's like one of the end of a car adverts now, isn't it? All the terms and conditions. Okay, then obviously drop a like and a subscribe, and wherever else you're listening, just hit subscribe, because who doesn't want more of parallel coaching and Neil and Hayley in your life?
Yeah.
So there we go. So we will see you next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a FitPro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a FitPro? This is the FitPro Sessions podcast with Parallel Coaching.